Get in, nerds. We are playing Victoria 3. We are in a war in Afghanistan, defeating this rebellion, which seems like it's going to be... There we go. Beautiful. Oh, I'm so good at video games. So, I'm going to go ahead and swap over the rest of my construction sectors, or at least a few more. Let me see, we got 20 and change. Yeah. We'll at least swap a few more over to steel frame. I feel like I've gotten the breadbasket achievement before, but anyways. Alright, so that's going to put me significantly lower in cash flow. But that's okay. Alright, now we have expensive glass. We still have cheap porcelain. I mean, I think it makes sense for us to reduce porcelain production based on that, but it really does make productivity lower, which is curious. Quite curious. So here's what I think we're going to do. I think we're going to increase porcelain... I think we're going to increase the size of the glassworks in a bunch of different areas. Do we have glassworks in Beijing? We don't. Let's throw some glassworks in Beijing. Oil discovered in Xinjiang. That's neat. And we're just going to throw all this at the top of the construction queue. I think this will... I think this will be more sensible later on. Because I think right now we're having a little bit of a weird situation with the... with glass. I think going back down to... going down to the lower ceramics production method will be more profitable as we build more. Hey, there's pan-nationalism. Wonderful. So we're continuing to bash our way through... Oh, this is just from spread. This is purely from spread we're getting the society tax. That's pretty neat. Yeah, because we're working on military. What do we have spreading in military? Military statistics. Wow. That's pretty strong. Alright. As we get these glassworks built, we're actually using quite a bit of the construction queue. Our recognition progress is going down. It's advancing by -2 each month, which is not great. I probably tried to go too far too fast with that that embassy, but I could try it again later. There are other countries who will give me an embassy. I think I'm also going to finish out the fertilizer plants that I've queued in, just so that the AI doesn't goof up and not build fertilizer plants that I genuinely need, because I am going to need more fertilizer as the game goes on. Okay, so now that glass is significantly more expensive, what does changing up the production methods look like? It still makes them less productive. Oh, because we have some of these on no ceramics. Oh, I was just changing the wrong thing. That's weird. I changed the wrong thing. Anyway, let's do an unmodified one and see what that does. So we put it back to ceramics. Yeah, it makes it less profitable, and more profitable if we go up. That's curious. I've never seen that before. I've never been in an economy where I was massively I mean, I've been in economies where I was massively overproducing ceramics, but we're not going to be able to get better glass production until plastics, and that's going to take oil, and that's going to take forever. So at this point, I think we just need to continue to focus on what we're currently focusing on. I have an enormous amount of construction capacity. Not as much as I would like to have, but a very solid number. A very good, reliable quantity of construction. We'll take another look at it when the last of these glassworks are completed, and then we'll have a better sense of how it's going to go. Now, we are down to 0 infamy, so I could start reducing... I could start grabbing new vassals. Hindustan I've got pretty far down in Liberty Desire. Patna is below 25, so I could reduce them and Hindustan. That would push up, I mean, everyone else, but particularly Kolhapur. But I think that's worth it. So, we're going to do Patna first. Overlord actions, decrease autonomy. And then Hindustan, decrease autonomy. And we're just going to do the same that way. And now Patna is likely to increase autonomy, but that's not... I'm not worried about that. Their liberty desire is going down really, really fast. Organized crime. Criminal organizations have begun operating in Fujian. It doesn't matter if we arrest one person or solve one crime. It will keep going unless we go all the way to the top. Put some funds into stamping out the organization, costs a bunch of cash, or I'm sure the authorities can handle it, reduced authority. I'm going to take the hit to authority. That's only like 100 and some authority. Not actually that big of a deal. I am almost done with all the rice and wheat farms that I'm building, so I'm pretty pleased about that. An exile at the gates. The relatively lenient Qing immigration system has long been attractive to those fleeing their home nations. Recently, Takaaki Matsudaira has petitioned to join the stream of people moving to Great Qing. It was one name on a very, very long list, one that had passed through multiple layers of bureaucracy before being noticed. One fateful day, however, one clerk at the end of his shift pointed at that name and spoke those fatal words. I could swear I've heard of him before. Eventually he too will be Qing, or we will not have someone like this regardless of precedent, which is, so I can get an agitator or I can piss off my industrialists. What are you? You're a land reformer aligned with the literati. Sure, you can show up. You're probably going to bail pretty soon. Another uprising in Afghanistan. This one's got two fronts, unfortunately, but that's okay. We can accommodate long front uprisings with our current technology. Kind of wish I could have a radical revolt, but, you know, whatever. Nobody poised to intervene in this. Ever-increasing influence. Members of the Anti-Prussian Society have discreetly dispatched one of their number to amplify their mission in Great Qing's most widely read newspaper. The Anti-Prussian Society has calculated with utmost mastery the dissemination of materials to secure a foothold in both the political world and the public's imagination. With great satisfaction, the lobbyist comments, there is no denying that the number and reach of the newspapers is ever expanding. This approach is sure to reach influential lawmakers to favor our scheme. This sets a bad precedent. Petite bourgeoisie weaker, where this is ingenious. Anti-Prussian association increases appeasement by 1 but minus 5 legitimacy. I'm going to say this sets a bad precedent. Sorry, petite bourgeoisie. I know you're salty, but it's what's got to happen. Can't let you run amok with the newspapers. Really surprised that the investment pool has been so weak. We are increasing these glassworks. Price of steel is continuing to go up. Glass production is increasing, as is porcelain production. Let me see how export routes for porcelain look. Sort by goods here. Yeah, all these are still profitable. So there are a lot of countries that are purchasing our porcelain, which makes sense. I'm going to cut some of these inactive trade routes to Russia, because they're embargoing us right now. Import route of small arms, I don't need. That one's unproductive. Import routes of iron, I no longer need. My country has plenty of that. Don't need to export glass. Don't need to export grain either. And I no longer need to import engines. Beautiful. Perfect. This fabric route is a little goofy, but that is okay. Alright. So once we finish with all these farms, which we set up many, many episodes ago, it feels like at least. Once that all gets done, we are going to take a look-see at whether or not we can increase the... at whether or not food security has been affected. And I'm sure it has, but what we're really looking at is to what extent. Perak is going after Johor, which I think we can ignore. This is an internal affair in India that I'm sure we can also ignore. There's a radical revolt. This should be sorting itself out presently. Patna still a little bit high in Liberty Desire, but rapidly decreasing. We're looking at another 25 weeks before that starts. Ooh, we're getting optimal sunlight. That's excellent. And all of our recognition is gone. You know, I wish the enforcing a war goal on a major power or above part was working, because I've enforced many war goals on Great Britain over time, and it feels as though none of those have really gotten anything done. Ooh, the British are at war with the French. That's exciting. What's this over? Oh my goodness, it's over a lot of things. Do we still have a truce? We do. Another 3 years. Alright, well, I'm not going to be able to take advantage of that, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. There's also an Austrian-Ottoman war happening. Let's see if anyone else is involved in that. Oh, this is that same war. Gosh dang. There's a whole situation going on in Europe, I dare say. Private sector is doing a lot of construction. I may end up downsizing the construction sector. No. So this is going to increase Patna's Liberty Desire, but it's going to keep going down. I'm going to need to improve relations. I don't have the ability to do that right now, because I'm a little bit short on influence. So, is there anyone else I can rival? I could rival the Ottomans. I could rival Awad, which I'll definitely do, because that's all benefits. Do I rival the Ottomans? I don't know. I'm genuinely not sure. I think I'll wait. So, that'll let me increase relations with Patna. And that'll get their Liberty Desire progressing downward more smoothly than it has been previously. It's still not going to be too long. And there's vacuum canning for the food industries. Wonderful. That is the most efficient production method possible at present. Now I am already all the way down in production, so now it's just a matter of chipping away at this debt, which I'm actually paying significant interest on. So, the private sector can use up about half the current construction capacity. So what we're going to do is we're going to max out steel frame, and then we're just going to cut some construction. Not too much. Maybe we'll drop 2 sectors in Xi'an, 2 in Nanjing, 2 in Henan. We'll keep 10 in Beijing. Maybe we'll drop 2 in Jiangsu, 2 in the Shan states. What does that put us at? That puts us at 60. Alright. Maybe 2 in Shandong, 2 in Western Hubei, and maybe we'll drop 2 more in Beijing and 2 in Eastern Hubei. And then 2 more in Henan. No, 2 in Hunan. Alright, so that puts us at 50, and that's a nice even amount. And that means we don't have too much, but there's plenty more that we can use, and the private sector can use a nice, healthy 300 or so of it every week. And as you can see, the GDP is growing significantly. Let's take a quick look at supply. So, purchase orders of porcelain are still a little short. Purchase orders of glass have gone down and steel have gone down. So we're in a pretty effective balance of goods right now. And cash flow is actually rock solid. We will have... Let me see, we're going to lose... So this is going to take about 1 year for us to get rid of this debt, which is very, very reasonable. So reasonable, in fact, that I'm actually considering going to war with Bengal over it. Not over it, just that I'm considering going to war with Bengal. At all. We've got Hindustan, Khalsa and Afghanistan down in Liberty Desire at this point. So we have the ability to do things like go after Jaipur or Bengal. I mean, we've had the ability to go after Bengal the whole time. Nepal, similarly, Patiala. But we can start going after some of these other states. Baroda does have a defensive pact with Mysore and an alliance with Kolhapur, but they're a decent target. Border violence in Guangxi. A group of Protestant missionaries hailing from Saxe-Meiningen have been caught several miles past the border of Guangxi province, which foreigners are forbidden to access. That's the 13th one we've caught in as many weeks. This one is the first Saxon that's come in a while. Wait, look at these papers. This one's protected. What can we do? Does it matter? Just a lost Christian who can't read. Our law applies, his does not. Bring them to the border and have them executed. Deteriorates relations with Saxony, or Saxe-Meiningen. Foreign missionaries will not attempt to access Guangxi for the next 10 years. Enforce the 6th clause of our law against superstition. They'll serve as slaves. Deteriorates relations by 10. 2% of aristocrat pops in Zungaria become more loyalist. Or open the province to limited travel. 5% of Confucian pops become more radical, and Guangxi will be open to missionary efforts. We're going to take them out again. They ain't learned their lesson, and I am not going to have myself a heavenly kingdom out here. That's one of our things that we're trying to make sure doesn't happen. Standard of living has gone up significantly, which I am pleased about. So let's take a look at food security now that we've had these farms built, and just see how we're doing. Ongoing famine in 2 states. All right, that's not too bad. Let's just say only in Great Qing. You know, it looks kind of worse than ever, to be honest. I really thought I had done a pretty decent job of it, but maybe it's a fertilizer issue? It's probably due to the expense of fertilizer. So, let's go ahead and build up some fertilizer plants here in the capital. We'll build some coal mines, and then we'll build some fertilizer plants. That's going to halt the improvement of our debt situation for a little while now, but that shouldn't be that big of a deal. So let the game auto-save before I go forward. Alright. The Fujian Cyclone. A cyclone has hit the state of Fujian from the sea, tearing through homes and people alike. It destroyed our home and wrecked my fishing boat. My family might be safe, but how am I going to feed them? A tragedy, but what can be done? 20% devastation. Or we should put some money into relief. 10% devastation and a huge pile of expenses. A tragedy, but what can be done? The government's in debt. I don't know what to tell you. The armed forces demand the promotion of Brigadier General Pan Sun, touting his history of loyal and effective service. So many medals adorned his jacket that one could scarcely see the fabric beneath, but it was not yet enough. Chest puffed out with pride, the general smiled as he imagined the look on Kang An's face when the field marshal learned of his imminent ascension. Their rivalry was legendary among the officers. At last, he would have his due. He's earned it. Armed forces happier, or they'll not force our hand, they become unhappy. And he gets less popular. I'm going to go ahead and promote him. Alright, now. Again, Sun Yat-Sen is not going to give me... Okay, so let's take a look at agitators. Only show available. Okay, so, well, no. This is the way it is because my current slate of agitators is too... is full. So who do we not need? I think... Matsudaira, I thought he was going to go away. So, we'll repatriate agitator. Becomes employed in the Japanese shogunate. Interesting. We'll repatriate him. Goodbye, sir. Alright, now, exiled agitators. Who do we have? Do we have anyone we could bring in who's potentially democratic? Doesn't seem that way. We've got a liberal, but that's it. Ah, so unfortunate. Maybe I should research some radical politics. How about that? I think that's what I've got to do. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut this naval stuff, and we're going to throw in socialism and anarchism. And that might help us get some agitators. Human rights doesn't really do what... Oh, this unlocks... Doesn't corporatism change the ideology of the... Yeah, the Confucian scholars. Which makes them... It basically makes them like education and regulatory bodies. Not ideal. I don't think it's worth prioritizing over the other stuff we're going to work on. So that means after this, we're probably going to get military statistics spreading to us. So we'll do monitor and je ne sais, and then we'll work on other stuff. After that, military statistics will almost certainly be finished by then. But after that, we'll be floating harbor and self-propelled torpedoes. And then we'll be able to get trench works, which actually I'm going to queue in right now so that I don't, forget about it. Why am I rush researching all these radical politics? That's, it's just what we gotta do. I think after that, we're gonna circle back to social and knock out all the rest of the tier 3s, and here's why. Because because I'm also gonna need telephone here in production. I think maybe, there's a lot in production that I don't have yet. Gorsh. Vulcanization would be nice. Shift work is obviously really solid. I think we're going to go to rotary valve engine to electrical generation. After that, probably dynamite and better fertilizer. And after that, we'll see. Because I genuinely think we're going to sort of... I genuinely think it's going to be easier for us to... It's going to take a long time for us to get 2 telephone switchboards, but that's our goal. And the reason telephone switchboards is our goal is because we are losing about £1 million a week in unrealized taxes, and in order to collect those taxes, we got to have the taxation capacity, and that's not going to happen until we're building telephones and using the telephone switchboards production method. This is Nepal, which I'm not involved in. Is per capita taxation better for us than land-based yet? It is, but only by a little bit, which is kind of a shock. I guess we are finally at the point where we're industrializing fast enough that it doesn't matter. Alright, so we got rebellions in the Khalsa Raj and in Chitral. We'll just go ahead and send some of our coastal forces. Again, not going to get too worked up about this. This is a time to chill. Oil. The discovery of oil in Xinjiang is causing people to flock to the state, hoping to find jobs in this booming industry. Gold, silver, diamonds, for what? Trinkets and finery for the gentry, glamour to hide that their time is past. Listen, my friend, nostalgia may be gilded, but the future runs on oil. Encourage this trend, oil is the future. This gives us 50% migration traction and increases oil industry employees by 50%. Or, caution that much may yet change in Xinjiang, half those modifiers. Now, I am always going to say encourage this trend, oil is the future. We're going to get this event anytime oil appears anywhere. So I'm just going to let you know about that right away. I'm not going to read through this whole thing again because it's going to happen potentially a lot of times. Encourage this trend, oil is the future. Now, really would like to wage a war on Great Britain just to grab Dynam in Cambodia. Siam still... Oh, Siam only has a defensive pact with France now. So I could make them a tributary. Who would step in if I did this? The Netherlands, yes. But most other people, no. Manipur, Cooch Behar, Assam could all get involved. Okay, I think that's the right call. Champasak. Where is Champasak? Ah, this little country here. Fair enough. This will be 28.7 infamy, but I think it's worth it. Alright, we'll go ahead and add a war goal just to conquer Champasak. I'll integrate it into Siam later. This is not going to cost me much. I'm not going to make it primary because I genuinely don't think it's going to affect anything. We'll send just the... where's our main field army, our 5th field army? They're here. We'll send just the 5th field army. I don't anticipate any difficulty. with this coastal force down here. But you know, I want to be safe. I don't want to make any mistakes. I probably don't need this on account of, well, these other forces are probably going to take some time finishing out their own situations over there, so I'm not going to worry about it. If I end up in a war with the Netherlands, then that's fine. There are potentially things I can just go ahead and steal from them, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Obviously, that puts me up in infamy, but I'm not too worried about that. Alright, Netherlands sides with Siam. That's just fine. Does that let me add any war goals that are useful? I could liberate the Dutch East Indies just for fun. We could have a Dutch East Indies explosion. The temptation is extremely high. I would need to kind of high effort the war a little bit. But only a little. I think it might be worth it. Yeah, we'll liberate the Dutch East Indies. Is that the right call? No, I don't think so. We'll just we'll ban slavery in Siam. I just don't want to be in a situation where a lot of other people can mess with the Dutch East Indies and I can't. And I'm not going to be able to for a little bit because I got a lot of infamy. Alright. Force comparisons up here are okay. They're not as awesome as I would like, but they're alright. I don't want to mobilize too many armies on this because this is not realistically a hugely important war that I need to care a whole mess about. And starting a gigantic war really actually costs the government a lot of money. And I'm already spending money on these fertilizer plants. Investment pool is going up. Siam backs down. Interesting. Super duper interesting. Because I didn't get Champasak. So they're my tributary now. We will... Okay, now I actually have to... Excellent, there's gantry cranes. So that unlocks steam-powered whalers, steam trawlers, industrial port, and steamships for shipyards. I'm actually now going to rival the Ottomans because I need the influence real bad in order to increase relations with Siam, now that I've absolutely wrecked relations with them. Their liberty desire is going to be really, really high for a long time because relations are absolutely abominable. But that is okay. And we're about to have our little wars in the western zone here. That shouldn't take too long. 2 arms. Beautiful. Cash flow is positive. I am also going to reduce subject payments, which should be fine. And nothing else I can do with them. Johor have begun embargoing us. Johor? Be pretty nice if you didn't. Be pretty chill and full of good vibes if you didn't embargo me. That having been said, I don't actually care. Not really my business. This rate of increase is going to be lower later. Ottoman Empire is rivaling us back, okay. It's currently 23. It's going to go down by 0.10 once I get myself below 25 infamy, which is only going to be in another, like, 6 months or so. Happily, we have a mandate for our power block, and I know exactly what I'm going to put in, and that is going to be advanced research, because this reduces the bureaucracy cost of education, and I absolutely need that. It also provides a tech spread bonus for education institution, which I absolutely need. So, now... Did I misunderstand how that worked? Well, whatever. It's fine. Let's see if it changes over time. You need to go to the other front. That front you're going to is fine. Alright, so Chitral is almost handled. Beautiful. And then all these armies are going to go over to the Jirwali Uprising. then handle that. And then hopefully the rest of this will be, and then hopefully this will be nice and sorted out. Again, not that big of an issue. Great Britain is embargoing us. Well, gosh. It just is what it is. I don't have any comment beyond that. Seth Priest, does he like democracy? Not really. In that case, it does not matter to me. Not a whiff. I don't give a single solitary hoot. 53% occupation. I'm probably going to need to fight 2 more battles here. And now that I've got the overwhelming numerical superiority, this should be going. This should go really quickly. All right, beautiful. And that is the conclusion of that war. Which makes me very happy, because now I can chill and focus on internal affairs. We do have standard of living going up, slowly but steadily, which is good. I mean, we're continuing to produce more and more, and having an economy that's more and more productive is providing more and more jobs. We're actually almost done with our national debt as well, which is very, very good. Oop, lost an admiral. And a general, it turns out. Alright, who can put in the 7th Coastal Force? Let's get... I can go with 1 Scholar Officials guy. He's fine. He's an authoritarian, but he's good at defense. Bohai Gulf Fleet? Yeah, let's go with this guy. Admiral Chen Bing Sa. Historical character. He's innovative, he's cautious, and he's a naval commander. Let's promote the bejesus out of him. Alright, with that having said, that is all the time we got for this episode. I have had fun. I hope you have had fun, my nerds. I'll see you on the other side.